What's good, everybody, and welcome into the sports betting brand of record is all you need. We like to call it the early edge. We are powered, as always, by the almighty sports line, and this is your Week 9. Hard to imagine, but your Week 9 mega NFL preview. We give you our early picks. We go through every single game and break it down, and so many things happen this week in the NFL. Injuries, trade deadline, that this is a show you absolutely have to watch. Now, we are approaching the elusive 19,000 subscriber mark. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, you're watching us right now, please do that. It's absolutely free of charge, and we're growing very, very quickly. Also, don't forget to pound the like button. Here's what we're doing on this show today. If we get to 100 likes, I'll give away 1 year-long membership to Sportsline. You know that is invaluable. 200, we'll do 2. If we get to 300, I'll do 5. And if we get to 500 likes during this hour, I will give away a free Early Edge t-shirt, hot off the presses, and not too many people have them yet. Our schedule for the week looks like this. We're here every week at 5 p.m. Tuesday for our mega NFL preview. Then on Wednesday, our college football mega preview. Then Thursday, of course, we'll count down to Thursday Night Football, the Jets and the Colts at 7:20 Eastern Time. Friday, you guys love the prop special with Prop Stars and Uncle Dave Richard at 2 p.m. Eastern. And then you see Sunday, 2-hour shows. Then Monday, of course, our Monday Night Football show. So we've got a lot to get to every single week. So when we have an off week, what do? Well, I got to bring in the heavy hitters. I got to bring in the stars. And that's exactly what I've done. So let's bring in the stars of the show right now. Our number 1 NFL handicapper at all of Sportsline, right below me, the stoic one, R.J. White. R.J., welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Coach. Number 1 long-term. Larry's got me this season. Larry's been crushing it on his NFL picks. So might have to update that going forward and just call Larry our number 1 guy. Especially after last week when I went 0-4 on this show. It was a rough week. Had a lot of value on the closing lines, but that and 5 cents will get you, a nickel. So you want to win the bet. So
yeah, I mean, we know what happens. You're gonna have. We have 17 weeks. The NFL is so difficult to do, but you're right. And you brought up the Maestro, so let's go to him next. Maestro, welcome back to the show. Such glowing words from RJ.
I'm not saying anything until I could take this guy down over a whole season, so I'm not going to mention it. I'm just going to keep my head down and see what happens when the dust settles.
He is an absolute beast. There's no doubt about that. Now, M Squared, you're going to do something today on the show that I think the people are really going to enjoy, and they're going to eat it up, and I'm excited for it. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, Coach, good to be back. Been a busy day, sweating some soccer right now. Just finished the FFT DFS podcast as well. Just ran my numbers for the NFL week literally 5 minutes ago. So I haven't even locked any of these bets in yet. We're going to see the numbers at the same time, and I'll be putting them in while we are live on the show.
That's what we do. It's all real-time scoring here at the Early Edge. By the way, is that a brand new Early Edge hat that you are wearing today?
It is the brand new Early Edge hat. I hope it doesn't jinx the Braves into losing the game tonight. I've got a black one here as well. I've got all sorts of hats on here. So if anyone feels like I need to put the Braves hat back on, let me know, and I might do that at a commercial break.
We don't need to do that because most of us are on the Astros tonight. I don't want you wearing that damn Braves hat.
Don't listen to them.
Do it.
I almost had a heart attack when we came on and I saw him in that hat. I was like, don't do this to me, Mikey. Come on.
What are you doing? All right, let's jump right into it because we've got a lot to get to. So what we do on this show, if you're brand new to it, we talk about the power rankings of Sportsline. Then we give all of our early plays. Then we break down every single game, and I get my capper's thoughts on the early number and what the games look like. And we do all that in less than 60 minutes. So let's get right into it. And the power rankings were released just a little bit earlier today. RJ also has an article every single week up at Sportsline. That's why it pays to be a member. I want to show the power rankings. Then, guys, we're going to get into it because they're a little bit different. And here's what we're looking at right now. I want everybody to soak it in. The Bills are the number 1 team in our Sportsline power rankings. Then you see the Rams who beat the Texans. The Bucs lose, but they are at number 3. Cardinals lose, but they are at number 4. Ravens off. Packers beat the Cardinals. Then you got the Saints who beat the Bucs, but their quarterback is out now, Jameis Winston. That affects the power rankings. Cowboys win without Dak. Affects the power rankings. The Colts, they beat the Titans. Why aren't the Titans in there? Or they got beat by the Titans. They lose Derrick Henry. So, guys, when we look at this, and RJ, I'm going to come to you first. What's the biggest thing that sticks out to you?
The biggest thing is the Saints moving up despite losing their quarterback. They didn't move up for me with Jameis Winston. That I know he's actually probably the least important part of that offense. They have a great offensive line. They're really committed to the running game after trading for Mark Ingram, and I love that defense. So, maybe they will be able to overcome that, but they're not in my top 10 right now. I have them, right around an average team in my ratings, just because I want to see how they respond. So I have a lot of these top teams the same. I actually think there's a pretty big break after the top 9, and I include the Bengals in my top 9. So I like and the Chargers too. I know that our model isn't as high on the Chargers as I am. So I would take the Saints out of here. I'm not as high on the Colts. Chiefs actually checking at number 10 to me, but I think there is a pretty big gap between 9 and 10. But the top of this model, I like a lot of this stuff. Like seeing the Bills at number 1, even though I have the Bucks as my number 1 team by a slight margin. But I think it's pretty solid.
So, Maestro, let me come to you. Several people in the chat are going directly to number 9 and saying, what? Why are the Colts there? Why do you think the Colts are in the top 10?
I don't know, because I was on them Sunday and I'm still upset about that game. I'm still replaying that game and some of the play calling from your own 8-yard line. I mean, you're putting the guy back in the end zone and throwing a tight end screen, and then he's throwing into triple coverage. He has that there's something that goes off in him that says, I've been playing a very good, consistent, methodical game. I'm just going to throw into triple coverage with the game on the line. What could happen? And he gets that. I also take issue with the Colts. I mean, you're talking about Browns, Chargers, Raiders, Bengals. There are a lot of teams that you can make a strong case for above the Colts.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Mikey, let me come to you because you and I are both Chiefs fans. Unapologetically, just like RJ loves his Bills. And first and foremost, we were fans before we got into this business. But if I'm being objective and the team I watched last night stumble and throw more interceptions and not figure out what in the world they were doing, I just don't think the Chiefs are a top 10 team right now. Do you?
I have them right at 9 or 10. Just like RJ, there is a gap, pretty meaningful gap between say 6, 7, 8, and then 9 and 10. While the gap from teams like, frankly, even 4, but really 5, 6, 7, 8, there's not much of a gap at all in those teams. But they're still right on the fringe of a top 10 team. They still move the football. They still score points. They still a very good offense. And the thing that's important to keep in mind here with not only the Chiefs, but the Colts and some of these other teams, these power rankings are looking at what's ahead for them in terms of the schedule that they're going to play. So you look at the Colts, and a lot of people want to know why they're still there. I don't necessarily agree with them at 9. I think that they're still close. Like I said, they're in that range around 11, 12. They get the Jets here. Then after the Jets, they play the Jaguars. They play the Texans still. They play the Jaguars again still later this year. They've got very winnable games, and that's what these power ratings are looking at. I think the biggest thing that I would have an issue with here, and it's not the Saints moving up, it's the Cowboys at number 8 still. I've been very high on the Cowboys all year. I think they're a very legitimate team. What they did with Rush in the game, you could say what you want about the Vikings, but they still took care of business and played pretty well in that game. That team is for real. And when you consider Dak is almost definitely going to be returning here at some point. Again, I know that the gaps between 4 through 8, at least in my numbers, aren't significant, but I would have the Cowboys closer to 4 than 8.
I agree with that. And another name, in addition to the Cowboys I'm seeing a lot, Mikey, and RJ, I'll come back to you, is the Patriots. The Patriots the last 2 weeks, they whitewashed the Jets, who appear to be a little bit better than we thought with Mike White, but then they go to L.A. and they beat the Chargers. And I know there's some bad plays by Justin Herbert, but the Patriots are getting it done. Should they be considered right on the cusp of the top 10?
They're in the mix for me. I'm sure if Mikey went down a little bit on his list, he would say that they're probably in that mix too, where that Colts area is. I have them 1 point better than an average team. I can't keep on raising them too much. Like what I've seen from Mac Jones a little bit, they're letting him do more. They're letting him go downfield more, but it still remains to be seen if he's going to take this team where it needs to go. So it kind of depends on their schedule, depends on who they're playing. But they have had some easier matchups here, especially matching up well with that Chargers team. I like the Patriots last week because they could run the ball and not ask Jones to do too much, because Chargers are just awful against the run. So that factors into it, but we'll see when they get tested with some of these better teams if they can make it there. But for me, I'm probably putting them, like I said, 1 point better than average. That puts them in the 12 to 15 range, where I have several teams in that 1 point better than average.
And Maestro, quickly, what's the one team you would move in if you had your choice? Who would you move in and who would you move out?
That's a tough one, but I'll stick with the Bengals. I'm going to give them a pass for that. You know, it's just the worst spot in the world, and I was way too low on Mike White. I've been reading about him nonstop. I'm not saying he's an NFL starter or anything, but from everything I'm reading, it's legit what he did and the way he ran that offense and what he did in college. And so I just think that it was just a terrible spot for the Bengals between the Ravens and the Browns, and I could excuse that loss. So I would put the Bengals in and the Colts out.
All right, Mikey, I'll ask you the same question.
Let's see. I could make a case for several teams. I think that one thing I want to mention about a list like this is the context is just super important, because like even looking at my ratings, looking at RJ's ratings, like any model really, we have 10 teams that rate within 0.8 to a full point of each other. So those numbers, like you see these numbers and you see, why is this team at 10? Why is this team at 9? When in a rating system, which again is looking at what they have coming up for the rest of the season, not what they've done already necessarily, more so what they're doing coming up and what's ahead of them. It's really important. Like I wish that we could show these numbers, which with point values next to them more than just the rankings, obviously. But as far as which team I would move out right now, honestly, it might be the Saints, I guess, would be right there, just not knowing what the future is going to look like at the quarterback position for them. I do think that they can rely on that defense. The Colts, you could argue to drop down to 11 and 12. Cincinnati can move up just a little bit. I think that there's still a wide range of outcomes on them. I'm actually very excited to see that game against Cleveland. I want to be able to really move them up. They need to take care of business and win and cover that spread against the Cleveland Browns this week. But other teams, like you could argue the 49ers could be there at times. Despite that win, the scoreboard was pretty close against the Bears, but they actually dominated that football game. They're a team, as they get more healthy, that they could be annoying, just like the Patriots. Like we're not ready to say they're top 5 to 6 or 7 teams, but certainly not teams that you're going to feel comfortable about if you have to play them in a 1-game playoff later in the season.
Very good. Very well said. All right, we were going to put a button in that conversation because we got to get into our early picks for the week. Now, before last week, RJ has been red hot, but we know there's going to be regression. But the last time he had a semi-bad week, what did you do, RJ, when you came back the next week?
I think we went 4-0 on the show, I believe.
I believe that's exactly what you did, 4-0. So I'm going to sit back, and I'm going to grab my writing utensil, and I'm ready for your official locked-in early picks on this Tuesday mega preview. Go ahead and give them to us.
Yeah, starting off with Houston, that was one of the plays that lost last week because we knew Tyrod Taylor was coming back to practice from his injury. So I thought if he played, that line was going to move a great deal because he's a huge improvement on Davis Mills. He did not play, and so that line went the other way. And they covered the closing number, but they weren't in that game at all. So I think there's likelier now that he does play because he has been in practice 2 weeks now, and this line should move down. Dolphins shouldn't be favored by 6.5, 7 on anyone. So when I saw it was 7, I knew that if there was news that he would play, that would have to come down to at least 4, maybe even 3. So I wanted to get that value in now. So I'm on Houston plus 7. I'm on Dallas minus 7.5. Had to get this in early as I had them as 9.5 point favorites if Dak plays. Denver's not good, and they know that they're not good. Otherwise, why would you trade Von Miller at 4-4 when you're in this race and you're in the AFC, in the hunt in the AFC West? So I think that trade has to be hugely deflating for the players who are still there. I mean, are they going to get up for this game knowing that the team kind of believes that they're not playoff caliber and they're trading one of their best players for mid-round draft picks? So I like Dallas. Now, of course, the trade happens and everybody's kind of off Denver. That moves. I have the line now, like I said, at 9.5 points. So I don't know that there's a lot of value for people now, but hopefully you got that in early. And then Cincy I have at minus 2.5. This line's been waffling between 2.5 and 3. I think you definitely need to grab it at 2.5 if you can get it. Cleveland's not close to being as good as Cincy right now for me. Don't be fooled by that letdown spot loss to the Jets. They aren't that team that you saw there. They're a better team than that. So I think they'll be up for this game, playing a Cleveland offense that hasn't looked good. They have a good rush defense. I think they're 5th in yards per rush allowed. So Cincy to me is the much better team. I would put this at 6. So to be able to get it at 2.5 is a great value.
All right, very good. I like those 3 picks. By the way, I want to emphasize that these numbers change starting on Monday. The best way to get the opening line, the opening simulations, is be a Sportsline member at the Sportsline app. You can go there the minute that the line comes out and see what the simulations are going to be. We just try to beat everything to the punch, but not even we can always do that. All right, love those 3 picks. All right, Maestro, you're up next, sir.
All right. I just want to clarify that RJ posted those picks on Sportsline at those lines as soon as he could get them. And that's why you got to have the notifications. The Bengals is the only one of those three that you can currently get at that price. My first pick, it says on the board, is Jets plus 10.5, but I'll give a little window into something we do at Sportsline. RJ, do I have your permission to do this? You being the managing editor and everything.
I don't know what you're doing, so sure.
Well, for each of the big games, we have a featured expert. I am the featured expert on the Colts Jets, which means RJ tells me, Larry, we need a play on Colts Jets. You are the featured expert for reasons that I won't even go into. So sometimes that focuses you. Sometimes people get upset and say, I don't want to pick that game. You're gonna mess up my record. But sometimes it focuses you because you just have to dive in on the game and make a choice. Well, I dove in. So what I'm saying is it wasn't the first game that I wanted to pick this week. It was something I had to dive into. I'm believing the Kool-Aid after one great win, but I look back at that game and how the Jets moved the ball. They outgained the Bengals by almost 200 yards. This was not a fluky win. They were -2 in turnovers. And the key was not just Mike White, who was better than Zach Wilson. It was CJ Mosley, the defensive captain, coming back. He was not in the game against the Patriots. He was back, double-digit tackles. They had a goal line stand. They made some big plays. Shaq Lawson, I believe, had the interception. So the defense made some plays too. And so I'm going to give the Jets enough credit for that. Plus the Colts had 3 guys go down, a D lineman, a safety, and T.Y. Hilton all went down. I don't know if any of them will be back this quickly. And I just think we could get either the Jets will be competitive, and if they're not, we still have the back door if, say, they're down 27-10 late. So I just taken the 10.5. And then this is one I really like. I'm looking at this teaser on the board. I made it a 7-point teaser because the lines had moved so much earlier in the week, or a few hours ago, it would have been a 6-point teaser, and I could have gotten these same numbers. But here's what's happening, starting with the 49ers. They're +1 at FanDuel. Other places they're pick 'em because Kyler Murray has an ankle injury. It's unclear if it's going to be him or Colt McCoy. And even if it is Kyler Murray, he's obviously not going to be able to run. It doesn't look like the way that he has been. The other thing is the 49ers outplayed them in the first game. They lost 17-10, but they were 1 of 5 on 4th down. They were terrible in the red zone. They actually outplayed the Cardinals in that game. And the last thing is we know the Cardinals are vulnerable to the run. We saw what the Packers did, 151 yards on the ground. They have allowed the most 10-yard runs in the league, the Cardinals, explosive runs. Well, the number 1 running back in the league in terms of explosive runs, Elijah Mitchell, on the 49ers. So I think they'll be able to run the ball. Definitely like them as one leg of the teaser. And then the Eagles +8.5 against the Chargers. It's 1.5 on FanDuel. If this was yesterday, we would have done a 6-point teaser just to get to this number, but I'll still do it out because I want to go through the 3 and I want to go through the 7. So the Eagles defense, basically they called out the coach before last week and they said, we're not blitzing enough. We're not mixing it up enough. We're just sitting back in this deep zone and people are picking us apart. And the coach, Jonathan Gannon, actually took them to heart. They had a great defensive game plan. They had 10 hits and 6 sacks of the Lions. The Lions only scored against the 3rd string Eagles defense. Now, I know it's the Lions, but that was emphatic what the Eagles did. They've actually covered 3 out of 4. We know how the Sharps are in love with his team. They've been piling on them now 4 straight weeks. 3 of those have been covers. You might say fluky against the Panthers, against the Bucks. Those were fluky, some might say. But getting 8.5, the Chargers, I don't think are blowing anyone out. I'm going to take those 2 teams, Eagles, 49ers, on a 7-point teaser, and I'm going to lay the juice.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
He says, I'm sure. So much great information from the maestro. What?
One more thing I forgot.
Really?
Yeah,
I thought
one
you
more
said
thing.
everything.
No, that's it. Zaven Collins, the rookie linebacker for the Cardinals, who is a very key guy. He left that game with a shoulder injury. He's uncertain. George Kittle could be coming back. There's just a lot of things pointing to the 49ers.
That was a very Prop Stars style take for you today. It really was. It was very – you've been watching Prop Stars a lot lately. All right. Now, my man Milton. Milton's doing what you all should do. Jeweler, throw that up there for me, please. I have all of these guys' notifications on Sportsline turned on. I preach it all the time, and I think you guys think I'm kidding around. The minute it comes out, you'll have a notification that comes up on your phone, and you can play it right then. It's so important. It's so important. Every single one. Maestro, RJ, and, of course, Mikey, I'm coming to you next. Have you been able to find anything in the last 5 or 10 minutes that you want to lock in right now?
I have. I've got 4 official plays for the show here, and we're going to start with the Chargers -1. I make this number up to -2.9 for them. I think that they end up winning this game, so I don't think they're going to blow out. I actually like Larry's teaser in this one, but I do like the Chargers to ultimately get the win in this game. Ravens -5.5 still on FanDuel. I would play it at 6. I do prefer 5.5. Make this one just up to 7, but through a key enough number here, I like this Ravens team a lot. I think they're going to come out strong this week. Green Bay, Kansas City, over 54. It's currently 54 on DraftKings, 54.5 in other places in the market. I make this one all the way up to 56.5, and I think it's got some upside for even more. I think the Chiefs are still going to be able to move the football and score on Green Bay, but I do not see the Chiefs stopping Aaron Rodgers. I think that A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones are going to have huge days here, and they're going to put some points up in this one. So I do like this one over 54, especially over 54 where it's hanging on DraftKings right now. And then Titans Rams under 53.5. I have this one all the way down around 51.7, 51.8. I think that this is a good spot. I know the Sportsline computer's even lower on it, down around 48. I think that this game slows down just a little bit and stays under this pretty big number of 53.5 in the primetime game.
All right, I love it. 4 major plays from Mikey. Real quick, before we get into AB's plays, I know you wanted to release something today that you haven't done all season, but I think it's really going to help people really understand how you do your business. Can you very quickly educate the people on what you want to give out today?
Yeah, I just want to basically share all of my numbers. I get questions all the time about where do I have this, where do I have that. You'll see a few on here where it's like got obvious edges where you would think I should be playing them. One of those games is the Cardinals 49ers game where I'm not going to play it just yet. Just waiting for some of that injury news. But here's my number for every game. Gives you the projected spread, projected total. And you can see exactly what my computer is spitting out and then where I'm deciding to make the moves. I'll be doing this for basketball. It's really popular for those daily sports where everyone wants the numbers every single day. As I'm very selective with what I end up playing, but some of you might have different standards as far as when you want to make plays. But I like to show that I'm not just throwing out numbers, making things up. When you hear me quote a number, there is a method to the madness. There are numbers behind the scenes here, and this is going to be the best way for me to share them with you guys.
Yep, and our girl Kelsey saying it just like I was going to say it. Mikey putting in the work. I cannot emphasize enough to those of you who watch at home, who watch every single day, and you see all the content that we do. It's not just about those minutes that we're on the air. There's so much work that goes into it behind the scenes, and we grind, and the whole reason we grind is, we want to win bets, but we want to do this for you. We want you to feel like you've got a place you can come, and you're going to have people that care about you, that care about the fact you're spending real money doing this, and that we want to give you the most information and knowledge that we possibly can. That's why we show that kind of stuff to you. Mikey, thank you very much. All right, now we are approaching the bottom of the hour. Great first 30 minutes. Now, the second part of the show, we go through every single game pretty quickly and just kind of give a little breakdown so you guys can have the information as the week continues. And if you choose to play the game, then that's on you, but use the information that we give. So, RJ, as always, we're going to start with you. The first game on our board today, Jets, Colts. Right now, the number is 10.5 for the Colts. Total 46.5. And this is a Jets team that Mike White, I saw a guy on social media, he bet $1,000 for Mike White to lead the NFL in passing for Week 8, 125-1, and he cashed it last night. I love to see it. Over 400 yards passing. Was it a fluke, RJ?
Maybe. I mean, since he was in a complete letdown spot. Full disclosure, Larry said I made him pick this game. I just want you to know that Larry was in my spot for years and made me pick a lot of games. And I built up some pretty good streaks doing that, picking like Packers games I didn't want to pick, but I was able to hit because I had such a good read on that team. So if we think that Larry's got a good read on a game, I don't care if he wants to pick it or not. I want to hear what he has to say. So I am actually leaning toward the Jets also, just like Larry. Line drop from the look ahead of Indy minus 14.5 with Mike White showing that he wasn't a total bum. Indy can take it to bad teams, but it's tough to overcome stupid Wentz mistakes. So I think you're really, if you like the Jets, you're counting on some stupid Wentz mistakes. And if you take the Colts, you think that he's not going to have to do much in this game. Indy has scored 30 plus in 3 straight, 25 plus in 5 straight. So if the defense shows up, they can cover. And if Wentz isn't just giving, Mike White the ball in field goal range and in scoring range. So I had the line at 9.5. So I think there is a slight value on the Jets. If you can get this number 10.5, I think it might be coming down some places. But that big move off the look ahead makes it a stay away. If the market thought this line should be 14.5 a week ago, I don't want to play, back against that, losing those 4 points already.
Oh, I like that a lot. Anybody else have a comment on this game? I know you picked it, Maestro.
I was glad to see Mikey's number came in at 9.9 as well. And we shall see. I don't know. I read a lot about Mike White, about his toughness, about the way the guys are responding to him. Corey Davis, unfortunately, did not practice today in the estimation. Still has a shot to practice tomorrow. There might be an outside chance he could get back on the field, which would help a lot. We still got Jamison Crowder. We still got the running backs. He's just going to dink and dunk all day.
Here's the thing about certain quarterbacks. I mean, and I'm not saying he's the next Tom Brady, but I'm using this as an example. For any great quarterback who wasn't a high draft pick to come in and play, at some point, this has to happen to him. There has to be a first before you can have a second. Go ahead, Larry.
I do want to say that the Jets coach came out and basically did not commit to Zach Wilson getting back in as the starter. So he's basically saying, like Mike White, if you do this again, this could be your job, for several more weeks. So, yeah, and Zach Wilson is supposed to practice in a week or two.
Well, he wants to keep his job as a head coach. Am I wrong? I mean, this whole, hey, it's his job. Wait, what about your butt in your job? So, I mean, give me 10 and Mike White. I'll test the waters. Give me that 10.5. All right, moving on. M Squared, I'm coming to you. Texans and the Dolphins. We know RJ is on the Texans plus the 7. It's been hovering around 6.5 or 7, depending on what book you play. The total at 46. Your thoughts on this number in this game?
I'd be right there with them. I wish I would have gotten it at 7. My number on it is 4.9. I think this game's going to be very, very competitive for the Texans. This is one they've got circled that they could potentially go win. The Dolphins, the public talk of potentially trading for Deshaun Watson, very public talk with Tua there. This locker room's got to be a mess. If there's a game the Texans can cover and potentially win, this one is it. I don't have any edge on the total. My number is 45.7. It's perfect at 46 where it's at. But I should probably still be playing it at 6.5. I'm waiting to see if we see any buying back on the Dolphins and get this one back to 7 at some point. If it does go to 7, I will certainly grab the Texans at plus 7 as my number again is 4.9 on this one and get you through 3 key numbers there at 5, 6, and 7 or 6.5.
Yeah. Do you talk about the Dolphins locker room being a mess? Do we think the Texans are getting better as their stuff RJ has settled down just a little bit maybe?
Well, I think the key thing here is the trade deadline's passed. We're talking here at 5:30 Eastern. Trade deadline was, I think, an hour and a half ago. Houston traded Charles Omenihu. That's not a huge player in what they do, but they kept Brandon Cooks. They kept Philip Lindsay, a few of the other names that were rumored to be dealt. So now the players that remain can focus on getting wins here. They know who's in the locker room now. They don't have to worry about where they're going to be playing in a week, in 2 weeks. So I think that's going to help them focus here. I think that's probably a distraction. Seeing those guys traded earlier in the offseason, seeing some guys released, knowing that you could be next. Miami has no business being big favorites on anyone at this point, the way they played. They could be 0-7. Teams run on Houston to great success, but Miami has attempted the fewest rushes, and they have 3.8 yards per carry. Miami's D probably coming off its best day of the year. They actually look competent for against the Bills in much of that game. They still end up giving up 26 by the end of the day. So it's not like they had a great day and the offense completely imploded. So I don't know what the Dolphins are doing as big favorites. I think you got to be on Houston, especially if the Tyrod news trends to them playing.
100%. Educate. We entertain, but damn that education button. I love pounding it. You just got educated on the Texans and how bad the Dolphins are. Maestro, I'm coming to you on the next game. And this one is very, very telling, okay? The Broncos do beat Washington last week. The Cowboys go on the road with a backup quarterback, and they beat the Vikings in Minnesota on Sunday night. Now, they're laying 10. It's double digits. Total of 49.5. Talk to me.
Yeah, I'm seeing 9.5. RJ made a great point, though, about how are the Broncos going to respond to this. I still think that's a lot of points to give a very good defense. Teddy Bridgewater on the road, a competent team. That's a big number. I'm not playing it, but if you forced me at 10 or above, I would take Denver.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of those situations that the way they played was exactly how they played. But Mikey, if the Cowboys play that way, doesn't it keep the Broncos in the game? Because they were just trying to win by any means necessary.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to win by any means necessary. We'll see what if Rush is really going to be playing a lot for this team. But I don't see it happening. So I think the number is sufficient. I really don't want any part of this game at this number. RJ got a great number on it.
Neither.
But like at 10 and 49.5, I mean, it's dead on where it's supposed to be. It does fall into an interesting candidate if you want to bet one of the same game parlay, for example, and move this one up to get the Broncos plus 17, take the Cowboys down a little bit to under a field goal. I think that's probably a fine move. But other than that, I don't have any interest in it right now. All the value's been sucked out of it at this point.
Yeah, it screams, stay away, stay away. All right, RJ, let me come back to you. Game number 4 on the docket this week. Those Vikings I just talked about, they have stubbed their toe the entire year. It's borderline on their season almost being over. They are traveling to a Ravens team that they're going to be very, very feisty. That taste in their mouths from the Bengals whitewashing, that's got to still be sitting there. They're laying 5.5, the total 49.5. Talk to me.
Yeah, just a quick thing on the Broncos. Noah Fant, breaking news, just got put on the COVID list, so we'll see if he is available for this game. That's a key pass catcher. They do have a good backup pass catching tight end rookie, Albert Okwuegbunam. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Close.
Albert O usually. But we'll see how that. I don't think there's any value in that line. Like I said. So Ravens, I love seeing Mikey put that pick in because I'm on the Ravens too. I haven't put it in yet on the site. Probably should get it in before Mikey moves the line there. Minnesota should be embarrassed after that awful performance against Cooper Rush. They have Dalvin Cook, they have Justin Jefferson, they have Adam Thielen, they have one of the highest priced quarterbacks in the league, and they've scored less than 20 points in 3 of their last 4 games. Mike Zimmer's long lost his fastball on defense. We expected, even when they were losing defensive players the last few years, that he would keep them competitive, and they really haven't been. Their defense just isn't good. I can't just blindly trust he's going to figure things out at this point. And they now just lost to Neil Hunter for the year. I mean, that's their best pass rusher. They can't exploit that Ravens weakness at offensive tackle now with Ronnie Stanley out. So Baltimore's had 2 weeks to stew on the Cincy loss during the bye. I think they're going to take it out on the Vikings. Baltimore lost last year coming out of the bye to Pittsburgh, but they dominated those stats. I don't know if you remember that game. There was an early pick 6 by Spillane in that game. And then Pittsburgh did just enough to eke it out, but it was a fake result to me. Baltimore really dominated that game. They typically play well coming out of the bye. They just have to avoid scoreboard weirdness like that to cover in these type of games. So I think Baltimore should be at least 7 here. I would take it up to 6 like Mikey. I think maybe even 7.5, according to what I have these teams rated at, because I just don't think the Vikings are very good.
All right, very good. Maestro, chat question from Michael. He says, how do we turn notifications on for experts on Sportsline? Can you take that one, please?
Yeah, you sign up for the app and you click notifications, and then it asks you which experts you want to get picks for, and boom, that's how you do it.
There you go. Pretty simple. Mikey.
Yeah, and I would say to that point, you can follow individual games as well. You can do all those things. There's just a follow button. So if you're looking at a game and you see an expert's pick and you're like, oh, I like that expert's opinion there, I like what he said, you can directly go and follow from that. And then one more thing on this Ravens game I want to mention quickly. We talk about buys, we talk about rest, we talk about travel a lot. Not only are they coming off the bye, they are coming off a bye into a home game where they had 2 home games the week before. This team hasn't traveled at all. You want to talk about the most well-rested football team in the National Football League? It is the Baltimore Ravens right now, getting a terrible Vikings team at home. I think that anything under a touchdown here is an absolute gift.
All right, very good. Get it in early. By the way, continue to pound that like button. Right now, this is a very highly watched show throughout the week, obviously on demand, but when we are live, let's get that like button. Let's give away at least a membership, hopefully 2, before the hour is over. M Squared coming right back to you. Patriots -4 at Carolina, a team that has multiple personalities. We don't know which team is going to show up every week. 41 is the total here. Talk to me.
Yeah, my initial reaction is I want to bet the Patriots. I have it at 4.1 in the simulations. If you could get it at 3 or really even 3.5, I'm okay playing it at 3.5. If you asked me to make a play on the game, it would be the Patriots -4. I'm not going to play it at this number, as it's pretty much matching exactly what I've got. Maybe a slight lean towards the under, maybe even potentially a first half under in this one. But overall, I don't have a play on it, but I would lean towards the Patriots now at this point. I think I think that there's some news potentially around Christian McCaffrey that could change things a little bit here, but as of right now, it's a stay away at the current price unless you can get it at 3 somehow for the Patriots.
Larry, are we underestimating how good the Patriots are right now?
Yeah, I mean, not only are they coming off 2 impressive wins, but that game against the Cowboys might have been more impressive. And I think we have this, where they should have covered. They lost in overtime, played them toe-to-toe. I think we have this impression of them as a very conservative team, but they're putting up a lot of points. Mac Jones is throwing the ball a ton, but this is a good Panthers defense. This total has crashed. I think it was 43-44 a couple of days ago. But I think all signs are pointing to PJ Walker.
And the last time
is that a downgrade though?
Is
that's
that
a very good point? That's a very good point. The last time I said PJ Walker's name, do you guys know when it was? The last time his name came out of my mouth, I was
XFL?
You're damn right. It was the XFL. I was the official pregame host, flying coast to coast every week for 5 weeks till COVID hit, and boom, the league was over. And it was so much fun. But The Rock is bringing it back in 2022. And his wife is going to run the whole league, the first female executive to run a professional league in America, and it's going to be awesome. So thank you to The Rock for buying the XFL. All right, Maestro, coming back to you. Bills laying 14.5 on the road? On the road? What? Total at 48.5. Talk to me.
The Bills played, I think, one of their worst games. They came out flat. They still covered that number against Miami, which is kind of shocking. But 14.5 on the road. The Jaguars should put up some points, but that was embarrassing. I'm glad I was on the Seahawks on Sunday, but I don't have a play on this one.
All right. I know the Bills are your squad, RJ. These big numbers, they have this really unique knack of covering them. Why do they do that?
Because they put their foot on the gas offensively. They're not ever going to start handing the ball off and just take into account that they're going to be good. Their offense is generated around a lot of passing, and they have the horses to go down and just score points in that. So if you like Buffalo here, I mean you're on it with 95% of your friends, because that's how many tickets are on the Buffalo right now per the Sportsline game forecast page. And I get it, Jacksonville is terrible. Buffalo did cover against Miami. It was a 6-point game late in the fourth quarter. The offense didn't really play well. I don't trust Jacksonville offense much. But I think if they get to 17 or 20 and Buffalo D is on cruise control at that point, they might cover this game. So my model, Mikey showed his model. I tend to always kind of be on these bad teams in these really extreme cases, because I think the spreads are always a little too high. But I think I need to adjust some things, because it's gotten to the point where the teams at the bottom are so bad that when I account for backdoor covers and that type of thing, it just isn't happening with some of these teams anymore. So even though I have value on Jacksonville here, I'm not really looking to play them.
Yeah, they once again laid an egg traveling to Seattle last week. They couldn't do anything. We have hit 100 likes, but I need you guys to leave some Twitter handles in the chat so we can pick a winner. Anytime you write, leave your Twitter handle in the chat. By the way, Jay Ruff said Ballers was trash. Ballers was not trash. I loved Ballers. So don't say that again, or you're dead to me. Just dead to me. I loved Ballers. All right, RJ. Browns, Bengals. Oh, you got something, Larry?
No, but I want to chime in on Browns, Bengals. But RJ, go ahead. I got excited. I got excited.
That's okay. We love your excitement. We're actually putting together a video of all your excitement because it's awesome. So RJ gets to start, but then Maestro, you can piggyback, okay? The Bengals laying 3, the total sitting at 47. RJ, talk to me.
It's bouncing between 2.5 and 3, get the 2.5. Cleveland beats bad teams by relying on the run game, but the offense has not looked good aside from that Chargers win, and that's a Chargers team that's terrible against the run. Since he isn't a bad team, despite the loss in that letdown spot, Like I said, their run defense is 5th in yards per rush allowed. Cleveland defense's overall numbers are good, but they gave up 33 to Kansas City, 47 to the Chargers, 37 to Arizona. I think they can give up points in bunches against good offenses, and I do believe Cincy has a good offense. So I think this line should be Cincy -6. Ton of value getting it at 2.5, so play it at the 2.5. But, I would like it at 3 also.
Yeah, this is one I'm going to jump in on most likely at 2.5. Jack Conklin got injured again. And also John Johnson, a key guy in the secondary, got hurt. Their secondary is banged up, and they have been, like RJ said, the point totals they've given up, it's been to explosive receivers with Tyreek Hill and what Arizona has and what the Chargers have in terms of their receivers. Well, now you get arguably just as good a receiving core with Boyd, Higgins, and of course, Jamar Chase. So yeah, that's the matchup. And plus Cleveland not being able to run the ball as well against this Bengals front. So yeah, under 3 looks good.
Very good. Mikey, you got anything on this game? It's going to be one of the big games of the week.
It's one that the model still likes the Cleveland Browns quite a bit. I only make them +2 underdogs here in this spot. I haven't played it yet. Waiting around to see what happens on this, but overall, I want to downgrade the Browns. I haven't been able to do it yet. It's going to be a pretty lopsided game in the market overall. I think that you're going to see 70+% of the action on the Bengals here. And, this thing's moved a ton. From look ahead lines, I believe it was 4.5. We're looking at 7.5 points of movement in this one. Yes, that both teams have gone in opposite directions, but if you told me to blindly trust the model, blindly play it, I would probably take the points here with the Browns in this game.
When was this game? Since you're saying this game was Cleveland -4.5, when was that?
That would have been like when it. Go ahead, RJ. Go ahead.
I think it might have been early in the season because when I look at the numbers a week out, I had -3 on the Cincy, so it didn't really move off of the look ahead from a week ago. But we're talking early season numbers when everybody thought Cincy was bad. Then that's where you get that.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Isn't it amazing how things change over the course of 5 to 8 weeks in the National Football League? Now, the Early Edge brand, we have grown so much in leaps and bounds, and it's all because of you. But as you know, we cover every single sport here at the show. And this weekend, man, there's a big-time boxing match in the family on Showtime pay-per-view. The one and only Canelo Alvarez.
The world's #1 pound-for-pound fighter, Canelo Alvarez. He's planning to make boxing history.
Canelo rocking the head.
But undefeated champ Caleb Plant stands in his way. Ready to shock the world in a battle that's become personal. Only one can be undisputed champion. Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant, Saturday, November 6th, live on pay-per-view.
And it's all going down in Las Vegas. Canelo just landed earlier today. We taped the show on Tuesday, so he is in town, and he is ready to, again, show the world why he, in my opinion, is the best pound-for-pound fighter on the planet. Now, speaking of Las Vegas, and M-Squared, you're going to start.
I got to interrupt you.
Yes.
Guess who's calling me in the middle of the show? AB. He's calling me right now. Does he not know that we're on?
Well, clearly he doesn't, because he interrupted the show this morning, and now he's doing it again. I thought it was kind of amusing this morning. Not amusing right now because he just ruined my flow again. What does he want?
I don't know. I didn't pick up. We're live.
Oh, so you stopped the show to tell me AB was calling you.
I thought you might enjoy that.
No, I didn't enjoy that
at
all. Now, I know you guys enjoy doing this to me. That's what you guys enjoy doing. Damn. All right. Now,
hey, I could interrupt.
What the hell is going on?
It just ruined the flow even more. I did invite AB on this show today to explain his 30 picks that he gave out on the morning show. And he said he was busy, but now I hear he's calling Maestro in the middle. So we'll have to have a chat with him.
Yeah, why don't you also have Jeweler as you're here? For those of you who are new, this is the Jeweler. He runs the show. Chris Long, can we ban him from the chat? Because he just wrote AB is the big dog of the show. I want Chris out of here. Out of the chat. Oh, that's so great. AB is awful cocky today for somebody who let Sia pound him into the ground last night in their Sportsline showdown. Awful cocky today, but that's all right. Now, we've got to pivot. And for a second, we have to get serious because this is a very serious story. The next game up is the Raiders laying 3 against the Giants, 47. Now, we found out early Tuesday morning that Henry Ruggs, their dynamic wide receiver, was involved in an accident where it looks like he was showing a tendency to be inebriated. And he's going to be charged with DUI resulting in death, which in Nevada, from what I read, is a 2-year prison sentence. So, M Squared, I'm coming to you. Obviously, we've played him a lot this year. This is way more important than football, but it makes you wonder what he was doing out on a Tuesday morning and drinking and driving. But as far as how it affects the football game, that's our job here on the show. What do you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting spot for them here. Tough spot for the team. Not only that, they're on the road this week against the Giants. It's an early start time on the East Coast. Those are typically spots we look to fade anyway. At this point in the season, with everything that's gone on with this Raiders organization, it's a pretty easy fade for me here. Giants +3, I like it. It definitely has an impact. It probably impacts the player prop market a lot more than the betting spread itself. But I don't see any way to really back the Raiders at this point. The Giants +3 on their home field, I think, is a pretty good look at this point, and one that was very close to being a play for me and likely going to be a teaser candidate, getting them at +9 or more if this line moves.
All right. Maestro, your thoughts on this game?
Well, we did see the market, at least Caesars, go from 3 to 2.5. It looked like in response to the news. In general, I love to play the Giants on the road, and I hate to play them at home. They did beat Carolina at home, but you look at Daniel Jones going into last night, 15 TDs, 19 picks at home, 25 TDs, 7 picks on the road. Now, last night he threw one. It looked like he tried to throw 2 more, but in general, he's been much better on the road.
All right, very good. RJ, are you good? You got anything on this game?
Yeah, I saw that movement in the market. I would lean to Vegas. That's a very serious story. We can't. It's tough to know how that team's going to respond, but they have responded to serious stuff before. If there's one team that we know has gone through this kind of thing, it's the Raiders with the John Gruden situation. They came out. They played well since that. They've had a break to kind of reset after that dismissal and get their head in the right place, and then this happened. So this is the one player I think it's a little bit easier for them to deal with as a team because it's not the coach and the top of the organization that you out of nowhere kind of lose. The Giants are probably a little bit better than their record indicates, but I'm like Larry, I don't really like playing them at home. Vegas isn't really getting much respect either from the market. And Joe Judge is out here complaining about headsets. That's pathetic. I mean, you have to be accountable for your own mistakes. You can't come out here and be like, oh, somebody's doing something with the headsets. Why doesn't the NFL look into it? Well, the NFL looked into it and they said we couldn't find anything. So stop complaining. Stop playing Madden and losing and complaining about your controller is the problem that you suck at Madden. Like just get out of here with this nonsense. This guy needs to be fired and quickly. They need to get rid of the GM. They need to reboot as an organization because this is not working for them.
And since Bisaccia took over, I mean, those 2 games, they beat the spread combined probably by over 30 points. I don't think there's a team that's outperformed the market as well in the last 2 games as the Raiders.
I'm just amazed sometimes how certain coaches get hired to be head coaches and then clearly can't game manage, clearly can't manage the coaches. They just can't make – they're great coordinators. And I used to talk about guys, when I was at ESPN, I was very blessed to be able to sit in rooms with former – Hall of Famers, guys that were, first team all pros. And they would always tell me that just because you're a great coordinator does not make you a great head coach. But yet a lot of these coaches are getting these jobs and then we're figuring out they're just not very good. This coach, Adam Gase, I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. Sometimes making that $800,000 as a coordinator should be good enough. All right, moving on. Maestro, I'm coming to you. Falcons. A lot of us were on them last week thinking they had what it takes to beat the Panthers, and they laid yet another egg. I'm done with Matty Ice. I'm done with the Falcons. They're going on the road to take on the Saints, who are laying 6. The total's at 42, but now the starting quarterback for the Saints, Jameis Winston, torn ACL, messed up MCL. We don't know yet, courtesy Sean Payton, Maestro, whether it will be Trevor Siemian or Taysom Hill to be the starting quarterback for the Saints. Talk to me.
Yeah, that's a big number to lay with the Saints. As great as their defense is, as bad as the Falcons looked, this is a rivalry game. And Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill, obviously we're not talking a lot of explosiveness there. Oh, what happened, Coach?
Sorry, Man City, Martin Green does it again live here on the show. We needed Man City to score twice. They did it in extra time. In that extra 5 minutes. Dead serious.
I've got an 8-leg donkey that has a they have to tie. As long as they push, they're fine.
It's 2-2. It's 2-2.
Let's go.
It's 2-2. It's 2-2. I love real-time scoring.
Man United.
Yeah, I said Man United.
You said Man.
You said Man City, but that's okay because we know Man United.
We know what you meant
right now.
You know what I meant. Man United. Yeah, Man City's not even playing today. Man United. That was huge. 2 minutes into that extra 5 minutes. And so it's 2-2. That was big time. Martin Green, I didn't mean I'm coming back to you, Maestro. He's now 7-0 in his last 7 picks here on the early edge. Incredible. All right, Maestro, back to you. I apologize.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this game yet. I have to admit, this being early in the week, I've only dove in deep, whatever the word is, to a few games like the Cardinals, like the Eagles, like the Jets. So I don't have a ton on this, but my early reaction is that's a big number to lay with a very limited offense.
And that's why we're here, Maestro. You don't always have to have all the information. It's just sometimes your gut reaction, which is why we do the show. So it's okay. You don't always have to, even though I know you take a lot of pride in that. When you look at the Saints, RJ, and the fact that they now, despite how good they looked against the Bucs, a lot of that is because of Jameis Winston. How big of a deal is this?
Was a lot of it because of Jameis Winston? I mean, he was throwing for
I think so. I think it is.
150 yards early in the season, and they were winning by a ton.
But he's controlling the game. He's
No, I don't think he's a bad quarterback by any means. I'm just saying you get that offensive line, you get that run game, and you get that defense together. And a lot of quarter. I think he might have been like the least important part of that team, really. So it's interesting that the market kind of agrees that they're favored by 6, considering they just lost their quarterback. I mean, that tells you how bad Atlanta is. And I just like that we're here on this stream talking about a team in Atlanta, and then a team named Atalanta has a late game collapse. It just seems appropriate for these Falcons. It fits right in. So I think New Orleans. So true. I think New Orleans is going to commit to the run game in this against an Atlanta defense that just gave up 203 rushing yards. Atlanta down a weapon. We don't know how long Calvin Ridley's going to be away for. He stepped away to work on his mental health, and it's 2021. That kind of thing is going to happen with these players. We saw it with Lane Johnson. It's really important to be where you need to be, in your professional life, in your personal life. So, I don't give him any grief for having to do that. A lot of us struggle with these type of things. But I think quality New Orleans defense is going to shut down this Atlanta offense. I have this at 6, so I don't think there's a huge value. I might look to play the under here, thinking that with the changing quarterback for the Saints, not knowing who's going to be at quarterback, plus this great defense against this Atlanta offense that I don't have any faith in at all. 42.5 seems like a little high to me. I think it might come in at 40 or a little bit less.
Fantastic. Aaron in the chat, this is exactly what we want. Aaron says, I got one screen watching you guys live, the other reading articles on Sportsline. Love what you guys do. I mean, that's the epitome of a Sportsline fan. That's exactly who we want. Now, might be a little extreme reading the articles while you're listening, but hey, I'm here for it, baby. I am here for it. All right, let's continue on. And RJ, I'm coming right back to you. Chargers laying 2.5 at Philadelphia. The number is 50, and this number doesn't make any sense to me. Can you please explain it to me? Now it's down to 1.
Yeah, just to be clear, I was talking about the Falcons collapsing. I'm not. We're still go Braves. I'm very happy that Mikey switched that hat up. So now we got the mojo back. I'm not counting on a Braves loss by any means. I'm talking about this 28-3 Falcons collapsing. But yeah, this number is weird to me. I know Larry's talked about the Sharps who have been on the Eagles, and they've kind of moved the market here, line steaming toward Philly. I'm a bit suspicious of that in this early week kind of window when there's not an injury to point to or any weird thing that's happened that's changed the circumstances of the game, because these sharp, these professional units like to head fake some of these teams and then get these awesome numbers on bigger limits later in the week. So I think that might be happening here. Philly ran all over a bad Detroit team. They could do the same here. I know Chargers' rush defense is terrible, but they might feel the need to have to do a little bit more against an offense that they think is good. I think it's tough to go all in on them, considering they were looking to trade Fletcher Cox before the deadline. Couldn't find a taker. That kind of signals to the team that they don't think that they're in this. And I don't know what kind of message it sends to everyone else in that locker room. So yeah, I probably have the Chargers still rated a little too highly. And I would make the game around 3.5. But now that we're in the 1, once he gets to pick them, I'm probably looking to play the Chargers.
Maestro.
I just want to clarify that I don't know if this what you were implying, but I was not saying that this was heavy hitter money that has already moved this line. What I'm saying is that every weekend, the last 4 weekends, the Eagles have been hit hard by big money. So we'll see what happens this week. Yeah.
Chat question from Spring Hill Outdoors. I think it's a very, very good one. He says, do y'all have y'all's bets in by a certain day every single week? Anybody want to take that?
I mean, it depends. It depends on the numbers. You got to be checking the numbers throughout the week and get value when you can get it. So on the site, I try to have my stuff in by Friday typically because I want people to be able to react to the analysis I'm giving, go and get the numbers in the market as they have them. I don't like playing the game on Sunday morning as the lines are moving because I don't know if people have other stuff going on. They're going to be able to play these. They're going to feel bad about missing out on something. So I do my analysis early in the week. The numbers that look clearly off to me, I try to play Monday. And then, just looking through value, picking it off throughout the week and get the rest of my plays in by Friday, maybe early Saturday.
Maestro, what about you? What do you do?
Yeah, this is a really fine line for me because I've been burned lately getting in some early numbers that I thought were great value before the market moved, i.e. the Bengals at -9.5 last week. Knew that was going to go up, loved them, had not looked into Mike White really at all. And obviously we saw what happened. So I'm trying to play that balance between, yes, grabbing the great early numbers that RJ does, but also taking my time and making sure I love the side, maybe getting a half point worse or 1 point worse if that's what it is. But that's a kind of a fine line I'm dealing with every week.
Okay. Mikey, what do you do? Because I know you do a lot of DFS too.
Yeah, so I mean, you're going to want to get them in as early as you possibly can, or at least have if you're running numbers of any kind or looking at it, you're going to want to do it early. In years past, it's been a Monday activity or Sunday night, Monday, as soon as you can. For me, it's Tuesday now. Just I take the extra day just because we do have the added risk of the COVID situations. This week we have a trade deadline. There's just so many things that made it a lot better, in my opinion, to do everything Tuesday. But yeah, as early as you can. It doesn't mean you have to lock all your plays in, but you should be analyzing and having a plan as early as you possibly can. There's obviously going to be certain situations where you're going to want to be very early. And then there's going to be other situations where you're going to be wanting to bet the closing line, depending on what your position on the game is.
All right, very good. Thank you all three for that. I think that's very important. We do have a winner, 100 likes winner at Jason Kane, 5724, at Jason Kane, 5724. You are the newest member of the family, of the Sportsline family. Welcome. The jeweler will reach out to you on social media and give you all the details. All right, we got 4 more games we got to get to. I'm coming back to M Squared, and this game is now moved to a pick'em. Packers, Chiefs, the total's at 55.5. And I know, Mikey, you liked the total when it was around 53 or 54. Talk to me about the game and then how high you would play that total up to.
Yeah, so it was 54 when we were running the numbers earlier in this stream when I actually gave it out and played it. I would play it all the way up to 56.5, which is exactly where I have it in my simulations. Just getting it, 54 was a bad number in my opinion. It's a relatively key number in the NFL. Really good to get it at that point, but I'd play it up to 56.5. I think it's potential shootout all over it. I do think Kansas City is able to move the football still against this Green Bay team. And then I don't see them stopping Green Bay at all. I think that they're going to have a field day with Devontae Adams back. And then those 2 running backs with Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. Jones is going to catch passes out of the backfield. They're not going to stop A.J. Dillon from busting off 10 to 12-yard runs at a time. So I like the over in this one. As far as the side, minus 0.7 is the number on Kansas City, matches the market at Pick'em to -1 where it's been sitting. Certainly wouldn't fault you if you wanted to take the Packers at that point and continue to bet on the Chiefs being bad. Again, I think that they're not as bad as the performances have shown over the last several weeks. But the best play on this one for me was the over at 54.
And Maestro, along those same lines, last night for the first time all year, I saw a lot of frustration on the face of Travis Kelce, on the faces of Patrick Mahomes. When you got bad interceptions getting popped up in the end zone and then caught at the goal line, I feel like the Packers is the play because the Chiefs just can't seem to get it going. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I mean, when it was 2.5, 3, I was definitely looking at Green Bay. I didn't act quick enough. At this point, I'll probably stay away. I'm curious if RJ thinks Melvin Ingram does anything for the Chiefs. Is that a significant addition? And also the Packers, even though they had the extra rest, I need to look at their schedule, but I saw somebody talking about that this is actually a bad spot for them. It might be like their 4th road game in 5 weeks or I'm going to look at their schedule right now while RJ answers.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Ingram is you're typically not moving your numbers, your ratings on teams based on defensive players, unless they're key top of the market type of guys like Jalen Ramsey type of thing. But the interesting thing about Ingram is that it probably allows Chris Jones to play more inside. He's been rushing from the edge a lot, and he can do that. But I mean, he's one of the best interior rushers in the game. We saw him be very disruptive, especially in that Super Bowl. If you remember, he was just wrecking people from the inside. I believe it was against San Francisco in that game. And he had a case to be the MVP of the game for me, if that game goes the way it does. But of course, they're going to give it to the quarterback more often than not, or offensive players more often than not. But yeah, this is an interesting spot here. Green Bay, 92% of the tickets are on Green Bay. Kansas City, nobody wants to play them right now. I think the line is kind of where it should be. But that Ingram addition is helpful. It's a much bigger game for Kansas City based on where they are in the standings. Tough road environment for Green Bay, having to go into Kansas City, a team that's desperate, needs to get their act together. I think it is going to be a shootout. So who knows? Who might come down to who has possession last in this game, and the weird interceptions finally drying up, and Mahomes not throwing these deflected interceptions every game. But yeah, I think I would probably lean to the Chiefs, but at pick'em, it's probably going to be a stay away.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Go ahead. What'd you find out about their schedule?
It's the fourth road game in 5 weeks for the Packers. And I don't think we've gotten official word yet on Devontae and Lazard. I haven't seen that they're officially back. Is that true, Mike?
Yeah, they're not officially back. We're expecting Devontae to be able to return to practice on Thursday. The only thing I will comment on that, he is one of the few players in the NFL that I practice doesn't matter at all. I don't think that we need him practicing with Aaron Rodgers on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. As long as he is cleared to play on Sunday, and it's a Sunday afternoon game, I would not worry at all, even if he misses every single practice up until that point.
All right, very good. All right, moving on. 3 games left. Maestro, I'm coming back to you. This game is also now moved to a pick'em, and the total at 46.5, and it's the Cardinals and the 49ers, and certainly for San Francisco, they really need this game. The Cardinals, you mentioned it earlier, Kyler Murray, we don't know how serious his injury is going to be for him. What's your early take on this big-time NFC West showdown?
Well, the Cliff Kingsbury is saying, the Cardinals will do well with Colt McCoy. That tells you that he's preparing as if, and the market is reacting as if Kyler will not be there or be severely limited. That's what we've seen. This is a big move down from, I think you could have gotten 49ers +3 if you acted quickly. We talked about the injuries. George Kittle could be back. The Cardinals missing their linebacker, who's excellent in coverage. The 49ers have a great run game. They outplayed them the first time. This is my take on the game. And I know AB got on Arizona -2.5, and I know he's kicking himself for that because the Kyler news was not out at that point. But to me, yeah, it's an all-in game for the 49ers. And Jimmy G looked great. He actually played his best game.
Isn't it amazing when your job's on the line, how you start to play just a little bit better? And I would be remiss if I didn't say I didn't like the idea of thinking about AB kicking himself. I kind of like that as well. Any other takers on Cardinals 49ers before we move to Sunday Night Football? Not Mikey? RJ?
I think if you think Kyler's going to be out, you got to play 49ers now because this is kind of like a Dak situation. Once it becomes in doubt, the market moves, but it doesn't move as much as it needs to. Kyler's worth much more than 3 points to this line. The downgrade from him to McCoy is probably something like 6 or 7 points at least the way he's playing. So I think you're gonna see San Fran -3, maybe even -4. So if you do think that he's trending toward not playing, I just get in with the value right now.
No, I love that. I love that take. All right. I'm coming right back to you, RJ. Sunday Night Football. And this is going to be another one that with Derrick Henry out, and it looks like he's out for the season, the Titans are going to be kind of relegated to start throwing the football. And we saw some really good stats that we've been circulating that the Titans aren't that good when they have to do that, even though they have really good wide receivers. So the Rams are laying 7 and the dreaded hook. And the number I want to make sure that we got the adjusted number, is 53.5. RJ, talk to me.
The look ahead was Rams -4. While the Von Miller trade is part of that move, it is an over adjustment for Derrick Henry. He's not worth 3 points or whatever you want to make this to the line. He's a great player, but he is a running back. I moved it 1.5, which is what I did for Devontae Adams last week when he was sidelined. The Rams have looked great, but they've had cake matchups for 3 straight weeks. It's hard to gauge how well they're playing right now when you're playing the teams that they've been playing. I still have them very high. They're definitely my top 3. I just don't know that they're world beaters like they've looked. So because I have Tennessee above 0, it's a pass first team. Even when they have to do that, I think the line should probably be around 6. So I think there is decent value playing Tennessee at this number. The market might drive it up because everybody wants to fade them without Henry. So I'm not looking to play it yet, hoping to get a little bit better number here. But I do kind of like the Titans now.
And Larry, we know the Rams, they scared everybody. They had a 38-3 lead, and then Texas almost came back and covered that spread last week. Any thoughts on the way they gave up those 20 points to the Texans to have a little bit of this when you're taking the 7 in the hook against the Titans?
Yeah, they did cover the closing number for a lot of people at 16.5. The Texans did not worry in this case. The only way, and RJ, I was looking stuff up, so I missed some of your analysis, but the only way I would play this game is the Rams in a teaser down to 1.5, pair them with another side that you like for 6 points. If Julio's out and there's no Derrick Henry and Jalen Ramsey's on A.J. Brown and the play action is not there, what's going to happen? So yeah, I would tease.
What do they do?
I do love them in a teaser. I actually teased them with the Cowboys when that number was still in a teasable area. It's a little too high for me now, and I don't really see anything else I like on the board. So I was searching. I wanted to put a teaser in on this game as part of my picks on this show, but I just couldn't find anything, and you don't really want to force it.
That's very true. We never force a pick. We did that when we started the show last December. We don't do that anymore. Not here. All right, last game on the board, M-Squared, I'm coming to you. Monday Night Football. Now, when the schedule makers put this together, why in the world would they think this game belonged on a Monday night? Now, when I was at ESPN for 10 years, there was kind of the inside joke that ESPN always got the crappy games on Monday night. Well, Bears, Steelers. That's all I've got to say. -6.5 for the Steelers, the total at 40. M-Squared, is there anything about this game that you like?
If you like Big Ten football, this is a nice advanced level of Big Ten football. We're going to see a lot of ball on the ground here. We're going to see a low-scoring game. I'll be looking to play unders in this game. It won't be a lot of fun, but that's where I'm headed with it. I make the number -6.1. If you want to play the Bears, like if you get this one at 7 somehow, I think the Bears are in play. Overall, I've got nothing on it, though. It's going to be very similar. Like I can tell you, we're probably going to end up with a teaser. I'll actually talk about the last 2 games because we're going to have, you want a preview of the Sunday night and Monday night show that we do. In this game, we'll be teasing the Bears up to 12.5, and we'll be taking that total on up to 46, taking the under in that one. And then in that Titans game, we'll be doing basically the same thing. We'll be taking the blanking on the team, the Rams down to 1.5, and then we'll be taking that total up to 59.5 and playing the under on that one as well. But going to be a good same game teaser, same game parlay. Going to have a lot of fun there. But overall, it's just going to be Big Ten football, playing unders, and hoping that we have something else to watch on TV that night too.
I hope so too, because my goodness, World Series is over. There's a lot that's over, but we need something on that particular night. All right. So we're at that time of the show where we recap very quickly our official plays. I'll let the guys go through it, and then we'll have our closing takes. But quickly, Jeweler, throw up the recap page as our guys quickly go through what they have. RJ, recap yours, please.
Yeah, I'm on the Bengals -2.5. I think you want to get it at that number because that line should be 6 to me. They're much better than the Browns right now. Cowboys, I got early -7.5. You're not going to be able to find that. But I think that number should have been 9.5 in the first place. So that's why I took them. And then Texans +7. That's a Tyrod Taylor play. So if you're nervous about it and don't want to play it now, I understand that. But as soon as you get some positive Tyrod news, I would move on that because Dolphins don't need to be favored by 6.5, 7 on anybody.
All right, very good. Maestro, what do you got?
Yeah, the Jets 10.5. Mike White, let's hope the magic continues. And then the teaser with the Eagles and 49ers, a 7-point teaser. If you're okay taking a push, if you lose it on 7, you're only going to push. You're not going to lose your money if the game ends on 7. You could do a 6-point teaser, which takes the 49ers from +1, +7. But those ones are disappearing right now as we speak.
Very good. Mikey.
Yeah, Chargers -1. Don't think they blow teams out here, but I do think they get this win. Ravens -5.5. Talked about them being the most rested football team in the league. 2 straight games at home, then the bye week, now another game at home. This number should be closer to 7. Grab it now. You can still get it at 5.5. That's not going to last. Green Bay, Kansas City, over 54. Still hanging there on DraftKings. It's at 55.5 on some of the other books. I expect this one to close around 56 on game day, especially as we get confirmation that Devontae Adams is in for them. And then Titans, Rams, under 53.5. You can get that at 54 on DraftKings, but 53.5 is the consensus number. I like this one here. I think that it should be closer to 51.5. Those are my plays.
All right, very good. And AB on the morning show today put these in because he knew he wasn't allowed with my superstars on the mega preview. Rams -6.5, Packers -2.5, Cardinals -2.5, Patriots, Panthers over 41. I love that play. Also on the Ravens -5.5, and the Bills. He's going to lay the big number on the road in Jacksonville, laying the 14. All right, how we wrap up every one of our Early Edge live shows, I give my guys 20 to 30 seconds of what they're most looking forward to for the week. So, RJ, start us off.
Braves World Series, first one since 1995. Let's get it done. Let's I have a lot of weird teams I root for. People would not be able to track it because I am my dad was in the military, and so I have a lot of weird favorite teams. But Braves were my first one. I played Little League in Alabama, and in the 80s was a big Dale Murphy fan, and so I got that one championship out of that great run in the 90s, and I'm looking forward to getting another one here with this surprise Braves team. So let's go Braves, get it done today.
Dad, can we go hop on I-10 and shoot over? Is it I-10 or I-20? That's I-10, right?
I-20, I believe. But yeah, we the place we were stationed was like right next to that highway, so it's about a 2-hour drive to get to Atlanta. So we saw several games at the Fulton County Stadium out there.
That's awesome. The Dale Murphys and the Braves. So many great years. They could only climb to the mountaintop just that one time. Well, good luck to you personally, but I hope the Braves don't win tonight. All right, Maestro, what are you most looking forward to this week?
Quick thought on the Steelers. They've been money as underdogs. This year they've been home favorites 4 times, have only covered 1, and that was when Denver was actually down near the goal line and they were down 8. So that was a game they also could have failed to cover. I'd be real careful laying points, laying that many with the Steelers.
All right, Mikey, bring us home.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the World Series. I personally would like to see the Braves win. Maybe go Game 7 for some drama, give me some extra opportunities to play DFS and share that with everyone over on Sportsline. Other than that, looking forward to this week. I think that the sports books are going to make a lot of money this week when the Chiefs beat the Packers.
Oh, just very, very subtly dropping that in there. Very subtly. I feel like that was a direct shot at AB, or at least I hope it was. All right. I love this show. I love this time. And I think, as Mikey has said, this is the most important hour for you NFL bettors that we have all week. But yet there's still one thing left to do. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these NFL tickets straight to the pay window. Bounce back week for RJ, for Mikey, for the Maestro, and for the jeweler stepping in today on the 1s and the 2s. Remember, this is your sports betting brand of record. Tell all your friends. Come join us at the Early Edge. Good luck.